We got the Bluetooth headset too. You really,
Oh, I should take that off for the interview.
That's very modern.
I'm a very modern geek. Yeah, I'm a geek.
Are you a technology guy?
Yeah.
What other gadgets are you? Do you need an iPad now?
Yeah, I got iPad, iPod, everything.
All of it.
Yeah, iPhone.
Do you like the way? Well, let's start the interview. Peter Noone.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Let's talk about that in technology and how music has changed. I mean, you started pressing vinyl, and you know, and now there's no physical copy anymore of music. It's all just, it's nothing really.
I think it's good that there's nothing really, because if you remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but if you remember when you would go to a record store, there was usually some guy there with a tattoo that you wanted to mess with and ask for, like, have you got the new Roger Whittaker whistling album? So that he'd be really angry. He would only be really interested in songs by bands that no one had ever heard of.
Right.
You know, and if you were in Canada and you went and asked for, like, Guess Who? Mm-hmm. Yeah, over there on the G. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they're all gone. You know, they sort of dug their own grave, didn't they? It was not a good experience going to a record store. When I was a kid, it was a great experience going to a record store. You would hear music in there. They wouldn't be trying to sell books and DVDs. It was records, and the people who were there liked music. They enjoyed music. They weren't necessarily musicians. They were kind of music lovers. Mm-hmm. So they were happy when Perry Como came along, and you got kids in the store to buy a Perry Como record for their grandparents, and mm-hmm. they would hear At the Hop. So that's all gone. Now what happened is most of the shopping thing is gone for kids, hasn't it? You can buy most anything that you want online.
Pretty much.
You know, if you want a book for college, you can go to Amazon.com and you can get a used one, and it's cheaper than if you have to deal with that horrible woman who's the librarian at the college, you know, who really doesn't like kids. Mm-hmm. And she went in a business where you deal with kids, teachers, right? So the teachers, librarians are all gone. You know, now it's people can just have their own experience. So I'm a big fan of being able to, like at my website, peternoone.com, I interact with people who like me, who have similar interests.
You go on and chat with
them. But think about it, they have a similar interest and they connect to each other by me. Mm-hmm. You know, they like 60s music, they like English music, whatever. Mm-hmm. So they've all got a common thread, and they have become, they're called lunatics, and they interact with each other. Mm. So it's very useful. You know, there was never that opportunity. For example, in 1964, if I was playing here and somebody sent me a letter, I would get it in about a year. And if it was a request for a song, it would be a year later. You know, it would be here. We wouldn't have time to read the mail here because we would arrive and do the show.
Well, you must be getting thousands of letters too back then.
Yeah, you know, but it's still, you wouldn't get them until it was too late to react to them, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm 18, blonde, da-da-da. You would miss it completely.
It would be a shame.
Yeah.
You mentioned the record stores. Take me back to those record stores. What do you remember that first record you listened to and said, this is what I want to do as a career?
The one that made me want to do it as a career, I don't know. But I remember, you know, I came from this family of musicians. You know, my grandfather played the organ in church and the piano at home. And my grandmother ran the church choir. And my Auntie Mary played Fats Waller music full time in another room. So I was always exposed to music, but their music was barcarolle and, you know, sort of classical, no popular music from the period, which is really odd. My auntie had this. I lived with my grandparents. I didn't live with my parents. I was exposed to all this roundabout music, and the first record I think that I bought. You know, I remember going in a record store and asking for the new Perry Como record, and they gave me the Frank Sinatra record because they said it was the same type of stuff. And my dad made me take it back because he said Perry Como is not like Frank Sinatra. It was all uppity. And I remember that was the first record I actually purchased, and then I went back to the same record store because it was near me, also run by an older lady who didn't really want to sell me a record, but I bought Danny and the Juniors at the Hop. And that led me into, I didn't like any of the English singers. I remember they were all copying American singers. You know, like Craig Douglas did Sam Cooke.
Well, you guys did a Sam Cooke song too, eventually.
Yeah, but we did it when he was dead. We did it not in competition with him. We did it as a tribute to him. But I grew to like Buddy Holly and Eddie Cochran and Roy Orbison and all those American, probably country songs, the Everly Brothers, Johnny Cash, everything that was a little bit country. And then bit by bit that led me into the Sam Cookes and the Little Richards and the, and I had a full immersion in music. And I was a bit of a DJ, I had a load of records because my parents were pretty wealthy. I had a load of records and I turned that into, I had a DJ gig in Manchester, which was kind of stupid really. You
must have been like, what, 12 at the time?
13.
Yeah.
And, I just played records. I didn't have a microphone or anything. It wasn't, and now, turn the hi-fi light, it wasn't one of those. I just played records, and I had a load of records and people danced on a dance floor and it was like a restaurant. So, and I thought it would be good to have records that nobody else had, to be a unique disc jockey, yeah. And that's where I started building my repertoire. And then one day I went to a school of music in the evening, and one day I was going to this club to see a band. And, I was about 13, so you go to see the band, but you're really going to maybe dance with girls. And in those days, all the girls sat on one side and all the boys sat on one side. And I was sitting on the side with the boys, all of whom I went to school with. And the singer from the band didn't show up. And they said, well, Peter Noone knows all the songs that we do because he's got a DJ gig and he knows the words and everything. So this guy, Alan Wrigley, comes and said, would you sing with the band tonight? Because Malcolm, got to be called Malcolm, don't they? These guys have got to be called Malcolm. Malcolm isn't showing up. And I said, yeah, what are you doing? And they gave me a list of songs. It was I'm a Hog for Your Baby, Arthur Alexander, and I'll Never Dance Again, which is Bobby Rydell. And they were all songs that I knew. So I said, yeah, I'll have a go. And I got up and I sang, and Malcolm never showed up again. They said, don't bother showing up, Malcolm. We've got a new singer. So I became,
there you go.
They were called the Heartbeats, and I became Pete Novak. They chose the name Pete Novak and the Heartbeats. My mum took me out and looked for clothes, and we eventually called this local English singer called Deke Rivers, who had an advert in the Manchester Evening News, like stage singers, rock singers' clothes for sale. And he came over to our house, and he had this blue silver lame suit and a red sort of three-piece suit. And my mum bought them, and we fixed them up, and they were like 15 sizes too big for me.
You're still touring, like 50 years later.
Is it 50? Yeah, it is 50 years.
Something like that.
Yeah. Did you just say 50 years? Yeah.
Sorry.
The first time I came to Calgary was 46 years ago, and I remember there was nothing here.
Really?
I think there were probably cows grazing out here.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's been a boom in the last 20 years. Well, I'm sure you've come back many times.
Can you imagine 46 years ago what was here? It's hardly anything. It's very impressive,
isn't it? How come you guys came here 46 years ago? You were a fairly large band. Calgary wasn't a very big market.
Calgary Stampede.
Right.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Is it still a big deal?
Yeah, it's still a huge deal.
Okay. So we came to do the Calgary. So we were all excited. The Calgary Stampede is for us English people, cowboys and Indians.
Oh yeah, way different.
Like, whoa, yeah. That's what we were looking for, some of that.
Do you still love it as much? Playing?
Yeah, I'm still, it's still kind of an adventure. It's a Panglossian adventure. I'm always, I get on the plane and it's always an adventure. I like going to the airport and getting on the plane and where are we going, and most places I've been, but it's still got that adventure spirit,
Nice. What are the set lists looking like?
We don't have a set list, so to speak. We've got a list of songs, but they're not in order. And we
I'm assuming all the old hits. Some
yeah.
Stuff
Oh yeah, we do. I'm into Something Good, Wonderful World, Listen People, Silhouettes, Can't You Hear My Heartbeat, Mrs. Brown, Henry VIII, There's a Kind of Hush, just a little bit better.
So many hits.
Yeah. We do all the hits in every show, but then we don't know which order they go in. We found it's more fun for me to just shout them out.
Yeah. And the band likes that too, keep them on their toes.
Yeah. Because it looks like enthusiasm. Like what we're doing next looks like enthusiasm.
Are you throwing any contemporary songs in? Do you ever have that wish kind of thing?
Yeah, we do. We do a sort of semi-contemporary songs. We think our songs are contemporary because quite often there are people in the audience who've never heard them before, or they've heard them but they don't place them with us.
Right.
They go, oh. After the show, people come and say, I must have avoided. Wow, I always wondered who did that. So we think of ourselves as a contemporary oldies band. And we're lucky because if you see the kind of oldies bands that are out there, they're mostly crap, they're crap. And we think that we kind of still have something to offer. We get more fans at a show, not less. How many bands you go and see and afterwards you go, oh boy, what a shame, I remember them when they were, you know what I mean? We try to keep it on the up and up. And that's been working for us. There's a curve going like that. We do sell more records, mostly online actually, because people are now getting more adept.
Right.
It used to be difficult to download a file.
Right.
And now it's very, very simple.
Super.
Click here.
You do it on your phone nowadays.
Yeah, right, exactly.